Hi, my name is Rich Gurman, and I'm excited to be here today. I want to start by sharing my story. I live in Laguna Beach, California, and professionally, I've been a business coach for the past 20 plus years. And I work with entrepreneurs. I help people that have a message get that message out there into the world in a bigger way. I have a great business. I love my business, but my true passion is all things related to the ocean. In 2010, I moved into the house that I'm sitting in right now. And it was kind of an amazing thing because when I moved into this house, I had no idea that the beach that this house sits on is probably the best beach, in my opinion, at least in the world, to stand up paddleboard from. There could be waves all over the different beaches in Laguna, but this little beach right here is just set in a way that I can pretty much paddle out every day of the year. And the other thing I didn't realize was that we have more species of dolphins and whales right here off the coast of Laguna Beach than pretty much anywhere else on the entire planet. So back in 2010, actually, I think it was the end of 2009, I started paddleboarding every day. And it blew me away that pretty much every day that I would paddle out, I would see dolphins. In fact, this morning I paddled out with a pod of bottlenose dolphins. And the creative person inside of me started bringing a camera out there, and I would take photographs. Over time, I got a little fancier, and I got a GoPro, and I put it up my hat and shoot video with the GoPro. And at the beginning, I would just post videos pretty much on my Facebook page, and everybody seemed to like the photos and whatnot. And then it just kind of evolved over time. So at the beginning, I would pretty much just hug the coast right here, which is a beautiful coastline. And then one day I was paddling and I looked way out to the horizon and I saw these massive spouts, like massive spouts. And my curiosity got the best of me. And I was like, I just had to go and check and see what was out there. So I paddled out, paddle. And I find myself in the presence of two blue whales, which are the largest animal that have ever lived on this planet. They grow up to over 100 feet long. And I'm standing there on my board, way out in the middle of nowhere with these two whales. And I was just like blown away. So came back to shore. The very next day, I went to the exact same spot. At that time, there was a line of buoys way off the coastline. And when I paddled out, there was a guy working on a boat, working on one of the buoys. And I said to the guy, I said, how far offshore are we? I had no idea how far I was from the shore. And he says, you're exactly 2 miles out. And it turns out that that spot, according to him, is called 100 fathom. Fathom is 6 feet, so 100 fathom. And what he said was that the ocean floor right there drops to 600 feet deep. He said most of the way from shore out, the ocean's about 200 to 300 feet deep. And then right there, it drops to 600 feet. And then he said, if you go just a quarter mile more, it drops to 1,500 feet. And because of the way the ocean floor drops off, there's an upwelling of the food and everything that's down there. And when the temperature is right of the ocean and the time of the year and all the factors come together, it creates tons of krill. And krill are these little shrimp-like crustaceans, and that's what blue whales eat. So the largest animal ever to live on the planet eats one of the most tiny little things, and that is krill. And they eat like 6 million of them a day. So in the summer, it just turns out, and I had no idea, that the blue whales show up here in Laguna Beach. And what's amazing about blue whales is that there used to be about 300,000 of them on the planet. And now, unfortunately, thanks to human beings, they say there's maybe only 20, 25,000 left. We basically slaughtered this animal almost to extinction. And so after I had that encounter with the blue whales, I was just like, I was completely hooked. Now, fast forward a few months later, and in fact, let me back up. Leading up to this happening, I'd been paddling now for years and posting my photos and videos. And everybody used to always tell me, oh, you should make a book. You should make a book. And I always said, I don't want to make a book. They wanted me to make a coffee table photo book. I said, I don't want to do it. I said, the ocean is my church. It's my sanctuary. It's my meditation. And if I make a book and now I'm selling it, they're like, you're a business guy. You can sell a book. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I didn't want to commingle business with my sanctuary, right? And fast forward a few months. We're now in January of 2015. Up to that point, I had paddled with more species of dolphins and whales than you can imagine, all right here. So onshore, we have bottlenose dolphins. We have Pacific white-sided dolphins that come here in the colder months. We have common dolphins. There's literally thousands and thousands of common dolphins that live in the area. Rizzo's dolphins, which are pretty rare but make appearances here. Then we have whales. We have gray whales that migrate 6 months out of the year. We have gray whales that migrate from Alaska to Mexico and then back with their babies. So half the year we have gray whales right here in Laguna. Humpback whales, fin whales, blue whales that I mentioned, minke whales, all these different species. But the one species that I had never encountered, yet literally had dreams about, was orcas. And that dream became a reality. So on January 6th of 2015, there was a report of a pod of orcas up in Long Beach, California, which is about 30 miles north of here. And at the end of the day, they were seen heading south in this direction. The next day, January 7th, I paddle out. It was in the afternoon. And this was in January, so it gets dark at like before 5 o'clock, super early. I paddle out in the afternoon, and I look to pretty much the exact same spot where the blue whale story was, way out to the horizon. And I see about 8 boats, and they're just sitting there. And what I know is if a whale boat is moving, that means they're looking for something. If a whale boat or other boats are just sitting there, there's a good chance that there's something out there, right? They got dolphins, they got whales. And I looked out there and I see these 8 boats and I'm like, maybe that's the orcas. Now, orcas travel 100 to 200 miles a day, so the odds of it being the orcas was slim. And it was getting late in the day, but I said, I just had a hunch. And I start paddling out the 2 miles. And sure enough, I get close, and it's the orcas. There's a pod of 4 orcas. And all these other boats are out there, and then they see this crazy guy on his paddleboard, and the orcas come right at me. And the conditions were just pristine. The air was clear, the water was clear, the ocean was calm. And I shot this video of these orcas coming right at me. One of them went under my board 3 times, and it was this amazing encounter. So then I paddle back to shore because it was getting dark, and I come home, I look at the video, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it was so amazing that initially I said, I'm not going to share this. Like, this was my personal moment. I showed it to a couple friends, and they were like, dude, this is way too cool. Like, you have to share this. And I said, okay. So I didn't want to be crazy paddleboarder risking his life with these killer whales, because I knew that if I shared the video, it would probably get a lot of attention. And we know how the press likes to make things like a story. So what I did was I went down to the beach right here, and I shot a 90-second opening where I talked about the encounter. I talked about how I wasn't afraid because there's never been a human being harmed by an orca in the wild. And I gave a little SeaWorld jab. I said the only time we've heard of horrible things happening was in captivity. Here's a chance to see wild orcas as they were meant to be seen out in the wild. And then I segued into the video. I took that video, I posted it on my Facebook page. And within like 2 to 3 hours, the video was shared like 700 times. Like, it just went. And then I was like, okay, I got something here. So I contacted ABC, NBC, and CBS in LA. I went on their website and I said, hey, this video is getting a lot of attention on Facebook. You might want to take a look. All 3 ran the story that night live on the news. All 3 called me the next morning and said, every single affiliate nationwide wants to run your story. Can they? I said yes. And then it just took on a life of its own. Like, by the next day, it was all over the planet. Like, this thing just went as viral as viral could be. Now, the turning point of the story was the next day. I was sitting in this very chair at this exact desk. And in one morning, I got contacted by PETA, Save the Whales, Mission Blue, which is Sylvia Earle's organization, Blackfish, The Cove, and a few others. Basically, every organization that I would ever have wanted to connect with, they all contacted me and said, hey, we want to run your story. I sat right here and I cried my eyes out. I bawled like a little baby. And that was my moment where I realized that this thing that had just been this hobby of mine for, at that point, 5-6 years, needed to become my passion, needed to become my life's work. And in that moment, I made a decision to do two things. Number one, to finally make the book that everybody told me I should make. And I made a photo book called Blue Laguna. And I also started a nonprofit called Project O. And the mission of Project O is to essentially protect and sustain the ocean and the sacred life that calls it home. And to be honest, the first, 18 months, almost 2 years that the nonprofit existed, to be totally candid, I had no idea what the heck it was. Like, I knew I was supposed to do something. I knew that I had been called, if you will, to do this, but I didn't know what it was. And then finally figured it out. And now we have two main projects that encompass Project O. One is called the Blue City Certification Program. So I came up with this idea and I said, well, what if we created a certification program where we certify cities all around the world for following best practices when it comes to protecting the ocean and waterways? And I pulled together, along with my team, I should say, pulled together a whole bunch of nonprofit partners. So we are partnered with a lot of amazing nonprofits like Oceana and Surfrider and California Coastkeepers and Lonely Whale and a bunch of others that I'm not thinking of right now, but it's all on our website at projecto.org. And we all locked ourselves in a room together for a couple days to create a criteria that we said, we want to create something, and it's focused on things like waste minimization and plastic and clean water and ocean stewardship, really getting not only the cities involved from a policy standpoint, but getting local businesses involved and getting the citizens involved. We said, let's create something that, number one, was doable, that a city would look at it and say, yeah, we could do that, not make it completely overwhelming. But at the same time, it has to make a difference. We said, it can't just be a rubber stamp, you're certified. It's got to be like, they got to work to earn it, because it has to be something that will actually make an impact. So all of us came together as nonprofits. We created this criteria. Then we brought in cities and we took the criteria to them saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Is this something you can get on board? And it took that right there. It took almost 2 years. It was a heavy, heavy lift to create all this. But I'm happy to say that we've now launched the pilot program of the Blue City Certification Program. It was actually supposed to launch in March of 2020. But launching anything city related this year has been, as you can imagine, very challenging. But we finally launched it in June. We have a couple pilot cities, and now we're adding a few more cities. The plan is to start right here on the California coastline with cities that are already doing a lot of the right things, and then expand it inland. And so as I think this audience realizes, everything affects the ocean, right? So even if cities aren't oceanfront like Laguna Beach, they could be in the middle of the country. What is being done there affects the waterways there, and all water leads to the ocean. So this is ultimately meant to be a global certification program where we have cities all around the world that are stepping up, becoming true stewards of the ocean and waterways. So that's project number one that we're super excited about. And then the second project that we're launching right now is called Our Epic Ocean. I had a vision this year that I was going to travel around the world and shoot a documentary film series that was focused on solutions to the challenges that the ocean faces. Well, it turns out this is not the best year to be traveling all around the world. So instead of that, we are launching this brand, which is essentially going to be a podcast that will be launching in the next couple months, but it's the same premise. And it's me interviewing leaders and experts and ocean lovers and musicians and people from nonprofits and people that are out there in the trenches focusing on solutions. So we've all seen great movies like The Inconvenient Truth and Before the Flood and things like this, which are really important for awareness, so people realize, hey, there's problems. But in my mind, those don't really speak enough to the solutions. Like I remember watching those and I was like, okay, Al, I get it. The world's coming to an end. What do I do? What can I do? And so our focus is 100% on solutions. So number one, we're featuring people, like I said, that are in the trenches, focusing on solutions. And number two, really empowering the viewer on things they can do. What are behavioral changes I can make in my home that will make a difference? What changes can I make within my family? What can I do as I go out in my community to make a difference? So we're really excited about our Epic Ocean, and we're really excited about the Blue City movement. And I think the last thing I really want to talk about is the why behind this. I think about this all the time. Like for me, it's really about the dolphins. Like none of this would be happening for me if I randomly somehow didn't move into this house, which, like I said, is on the perfect beach to paddle from. And like I said, I had no idea when I moved here that we had more species of dolphins and whales here than pretty much anywhere on the entire planet. And so I feel lucky, I feel grateful, I feel blessed that every single day, pretty much every day, I am out there. And I don't encounter the dolphins and whales every single day, but I'd say 50% of the time I'm out there on the ocean and I've got a pod of dolphins or a whale that I'm interacting with. And I've somehow just cultivated I'd say a pretty unique connection with the wildlife. My philosophy has always been what Jacques Cousteau said, that we protect what we love. And so for years, all I've been doing is sharing what I'm so blessed to see every single day. And I think my audience is kind of two people. It's other crazy ocean loving dolphin freaks like myself. And we all love seeing what everybody's doing. And then it's people that would never probably have the opportunity to have the kind of experiences that I'm blessed to have every day. And those are the people that I'm actually not that I don't love my ocean loving friends, but the people that live landlocked somewhere that say, you know, they love seeing this footage and these photos, and they vicariously are living through my experiences. Like, that's why I share. That's really how it began. Like, I just love sharing what I get to see. And now, fortunately, it's kind of gone to the next level, and it's about impact. Now it's like, I feel we are in a position right now in the world where we no longer have the luxury of time. We are seeing it right now. We are in the midst of a global pandemic, a health crisis. We are in the midst of, you know, I don't think I need to even share. Everybody gets it. This audience understands the challenges that the environment and the ocean is facing. And it's all hands on deck time. And so at the end of the day, I truly hope that I can make a difference with the work that we are doing. I don't know if I can. Hopefully I already am, and hopefully we can make a lot more. But it's like, I don't feel like there's any choice anymore. It's like I've literally committed the vast majority of my time and energy to this work, with the hope that we can truly protect the ocean, protect the dolphins and whales, all the sacred life that lives in the ocean, for the sake of the ocean, for the sake of these animals that I love so much, and for our own sake. I made a statement. In fact, let me pull this up. When the pandemic became like a real scary thing for people, I wrote something. I said, I by no means intend to diminish the immense physical, financial, and emotional pain that is occurring. And I say this to hopefully awaken, not to alarm. But as bad as this is merely a warning shot. A return to normal would be a slow march into a burning house, a suicide mission. I said, this is Mother Nature's whisper. Let's not make her scream. So yeah, as bad as, 2020 has been quite the year, but I think this is just Mother Nature just giving us a little tap on the shoulder, saying, hey, like, you guys need to change. And the way I look at it, and I'm by no means an alarmist. I'm the guy that just wants to show the beauty of what I get to see. Like I said, we protect what we love. I'm the guy that wants to just look at these beautiful dolphins, look at these whales, look at the majesty of this epic ocean, this epic planet, hoping that people will be like, oh my God, we need to do whatever we can to protect this magical, amazing place. That being said, my feeling is that this is going to go one of two ways. Either the planet is going to say, you know what? We were much better off before you 8 billion human beings showed up. And the planet will spit us off. And the planet will be just fine without us. Or the second alternative, which I hope is what actually happens, is that human beings will learn to live in harmony with the planet. And that's what needs to happen, right? That's what absolutely needs to happen. And so through the work that I'm doing and my team is doing, that's really what it's about. How do we find that harmony? How do we find balance so that humans, perhaps the only animal that has the consciousness to be aware of its own consciousness, to really truly love and experience the magicalness of this planet that we get to call home. In my view, like, this is heaven on earth. It's not when we die, we're going to go to heaven or we're going to go to hell. Like, this is it right here, right? Elon Musk, I love you, but we're not going to live on Mars. It's not going to happen. Let's spend our time and money and focus saving what we have right here. I'm pretty sure there's no ocean on Mars. There's no air to breathe. There's no dolphins and whales. It's all right here. So my time and effort, when I'm not out on the ocean and hanging on the beach, which is a lot of my time, it's focused on that. What can we do as a species to come together and protect this magical place that we call home? So yeah, that's my story. That's a little bit of what I'm focused on. And for anyone watching, thank you for being here. And if there's anything I can do to support you and what you're doing to reach some of these similar goals, I'm here to support any way that I can. Thank you so much.